Gary, cold open question of the week.
Yes, sir.
What's your all-time favorite pair of sneakers you've owned?
Ooh, that's a good one. I actually, you know what? I think it's the pair I own right now.
Really?
Yes.
Are
They
th-
are.
are they on your feet?
No, actually, I'm in slides right now. No, but they are a pair of Under Armour. They're called
Okay.
so like they're dual action. So you could either they have like a little flap on the back end that you could either just put your foot in and slide it right and then like stand on it, or you could you know keep it up and then just put your foot in and then they're very comfortable.
Is,
Uh,
is that what makes them your favorite pair? They're comfortable?
yes, that's exactly what it is. Plus, they're very. There's no like actual laces. They have like a little button that you pop up. You unravel it and it loosens them up. That then you can just slide your foot in that way, and then you push the button down and just twist and tighten. But yeah, they're the most comfortable shoe I've owned so far. So they are probably my favorite shoes.
My favorite pair was a pair I had in sixth grade. It was a Nike cross trainer, probably like one of the first types of cross trainers, but it was actually the shoes John McEnroe wore.
Oh, okay.
And they had like a Velcro piece, like almost like over the toe box, like at the end of the laces, they could tighten.
Oh, okay.
And they
Oh,
were like navy blue with gray,
oh,
with like a navy blue
yeah.
swish. I would love to get another pair of those as an adult.
They do. Well, I mean, Nike makes so many freaking shoes now. I mean, they might still have something like that.
Yeah, I might have to look for it after the show. But in the meantime, let's start the show. It's the Brian Lennon Show, episode 52, the one about the 1 year anniversary. All right, so welcome into another episode of the Brian Lennon Show. I am your host, Brian Lennon, as always, joined by my co-host, Gary McDaniel.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Gary. So this is a special episode because this is our 52nd episode. We've produced an episode once a week for the last 52 weeks. So it's a 1 year anniversary for us, Gary. So congratulations.
Yes. Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Yes, we did it. We had talked about it, and we, of course, hosted a podcast a long, long time ago, about 10 years ago,
Yep.
on Blog Talk Radio. And that one ran for probably about a year and a half or so.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And then we took a long hiatus, went back to school,
Yep.
and came back better, bigger, better than ever. And we've had another year of podcasting.
Exactly. It's fun.
So, Gary, what are some of the highlights from the last year of the podcast?
Ooh. Man, there's so many. I've enjoyed. I enjoyed the Mary Alice episode about Woodstock. That was probably one of our bigger episodes that we've had.
Yes, that kind of really kicked off our podcast,
Yeah.
having her on.
Yep.
We got a lot of downloads on that. Just to update people who are listening or following our show, we are almost at 2,000 downloads. So hopefully in the next week or two, we're able to get to that 2,000 mark. So that's what?
Subscribe now.
Oh, yes. Subscribe now. I like that.
Playing around a little bit today. I found another.
There you go.
I'm like, I gotta throw that one on there. Yeah. Another episode was our country music guy.
Izzy Miller. That's probably my favorite episode. Just the humor. He was very funny. And just he opened the door to a bunch of music for me. The way he dropped all these different artists that he talked about.
Yep. Yeah, he was he was a very amusing character. I enjoyed
Yes.
that episode.
Yeah. So, Gary, if anyone wants to listen to the podcast, how any of these episodes that we talked about, how would they do that?
Well, they would
Subscribe now.
Substack. Go in there. We're also on Spotify.
We're on iTunes too.
Yeah, I still can't find it on iTunes. I have to go back and look.
People do download it because Spotify shows me like where people are downloading it from, and it does get downloaded through iTunes.
Interesting. I'm wondering if that's maybe it's they're pulling it from somewhere else when they're downloading it to their iTunes.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but
I have no Apple products myself, so I don't really know.
but I tried looking. I couldn't find it. So I don't know. It could be that that's the way they're downloading it is through their iTunes, and that's why it's coming up like that. But
Yeah, so if anyone wants to subscribe to our show,
Subscribe now.
our podcast, or my newsletter, they can go to the brianlennonshow.substack.com and check it out. Gary, did you read my piece I wrote this week about the Los Angeles Dodgers and their recognizing the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence?
I did not know. It's on my list.
Wow. Yeah. So if anyone wants to check that out with Gary, who's saving it for later, you can check that out. That's right at the top of the page.
You could also go to YouTube. You can watch our pretty faces.
Yes, we do post our show on YouTube as well. And you can also find us on Instagram, Gary.
Yes. Facebook.
Twitter.
Twitter.
We're not on Patreon.
No.
We might have to start a Patreon page.
Hmm.
I wonder do you think people would subscribe to an OnlyFans page of ours, Gary?
I don't know. We can try and see what happens.
We could try. All right. Speaking of podcasts, though, Gary, did you hear the news about Harry and Meghan and their podcast?
I did not. No.
Well, apparently they signed a deal with Spotify, which is a platform that the Brian Lennon Show is on.
Yes, exactly.
Spotify, however, paid them $20 million.
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah, so it's about $20 million more than we've made, Gary, doing the podcast.
Maybe our checks in the mail.
It was 10 episodes that they produced, and apparently this week Spotify ended the partnership with Harry and Meghan.
They weren't getting enough.
Subscribe now.
They probably didn't have enough subscribers. Now, the interesting part is this podcast won like some awards, like People's Choice Awards, as Podcast of the Year. I don't know where we finished.
Yeah.
Probably
up there.
Yeah, probably in the top 10, I would imagine. But as I was like kind of looking into this and reading this piece about Harry and Meghan, here's some interesting stats, Gary. So of the total number of shows globally, less than a quarter of podcasts have more than 10 episodes. So we're in the top 25% right there.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is episode what number, Gary?
52.
52, that's right. So and they were talking about maybe the era of the have a go podcasters has come to an end. Because as you know, Gary, everyone and their best friend has a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe that it's starting to kind of wane as far as people actually producing and creating podcasts. What do you think?
I mean, yeah. Well, the thing is, too, it's become super easy to doing podcasting. I mean, as long as you have a computer and a microphone, you can put something together.
Like us.
Yeah, but see, the difference is like we don't. We're true to our show here. We record, we go. We don't edit anything. We don't do it. I mean, so we have our malfunctions. We have our malfunctions. That's the part I like about the show because we're like a true show. We're not putting out some.
We're not heavily produced.
Yeah, we're not wishy washy with fixing things and making things all pretty. We like it. We like a nice.
It's a podcast in the raw.
Exactly, and that's. I don't think there's too many of them out there like that.
There's not. I would say that is one of the things that makes our show unique is it's not. I wouldn't even say it's not overly produced. It's not really produced at all, except we have a producer extraordinaire, yourself, Gary.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, we've added some bells and whistles and things like that.
Such as like buttons that tell listeners to
try or
Subscribe now.
That's right, subscribe now.
Subscribe now.
yeah. So I mean, but other than that, I mean, like I said, we gotta go into it and we just do it. So sometimes we have a little bit of that dead air action, but we're a podcast of having two guys just sitting around having conversations, and sometimes you might have a little bit of air, like dead air where you're trying to think of something, but it's more of just us talking. So it's like, and then all those other ones are all about all that fancy crap and editing things out. Oh, we can't have it here. We got to take this part out because it wasn't sound good. We just throw it out there.
Now, another thing, Gary, I just forgot what I was going to say.
And see, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah. Wow, I totally forgot what I was going to say. So, Gary, if there was a person or a celebrity you wish would, start a podcast, who would be your choice to be like, that's who I'd want to actually like hear and listen to?
Man, they probably already have one. I mean,
They probably do, but
have some sort of podcast out there. But I don't know. I mean, most of the people I like now have one out there. So, but oh man,
or is there?
he is a little
Go
bit
ahead.
goofy now, and I mean, he might have one, but I think Jim Carrey would be interesting to. I mean, he's kind of sometimes. I mean, he had that funny, but then then he started getting a little crazy political with some stuff. So I'm like, I would just like to just listen to like his kooky mind and see where he's going with some of the stuff that he posts on Twitter and things like that.
And is there like a particular event you would be interested in listening to a podcast about? Because a lot of them do these kind of like serial pieces where they look into a particular event.
No, not that's what I can think of. Nothing right off the top of my head. You know what I think would be interesting? I don't know if they've done it yet, but like these major sports events, like a Super Bowl, or like just having people doing a podcast during the Super Bowl and like doing play-by-play stuff, but podcast format,
Kind of like a Manning cast.
Yeah, kind of, where like if we did it, like two of us just sitting there watching the game and just talking about what's going on and all that stuff. I think that'd be interesting. Like all of the major sports, because I mean, sometimes like when you're listening to the games, you got the two guys up in the booth, talking about the game, all the stuff. But yes, and just like you said with the Mannings, where like they kind of basically do that. They'll talk about the game, but then they'll randomly go off on some other stuff. I think something like that would be interesting to watch or listen to.
Okay. Now, Gary, some kind of breaking family news here.
Okay.
We have a new addition to the family.
Uh-oh.
And no, it's not another kid.
Took the cat in, didn't you?
So after almost 21 years of refusing to get the children a pet, we caved this week and we took in the feral cat that's been living outside of our house for I'm probably gonna say a year. She's probably a year old. She actually snuck into the house back in the fall, like when she was a kitten,
Yeah.
and ran upstairs. And I probably talked about this on one of the podcasts. She ran up into our bedroom underneath our bed and was kind of hiding out there. We got her, took her back outside, and I thought for not going to survive the winter
Yeah.
outside here in Pennsylvania. And apparently one of the neighbors up the street had like a little shelter for the feral cats.
Okay.
And God bless this cat, she survived the winter. And over the course of the spring, she was in our yard, and Ruby kind of grew attached to her. One of the other next door neighbors too kind of was feeding her and giving her water. Ruby went on to name this cat, gave her the name Sara Beth. So we kind of started everyone referring to this cat, and she would, hang out by our house. Really the last like 2 months, Ruby's been putting like a blanket out for her, and she would, when Ruby went outside, she would come,
Yep.
lay by her and let her pet her and all that. So on Monday, I think it was Monday, or was it yesterday? What's today? Tuesday?
So Monday was
Yeah. So Monday, we the girls actually went to a program at the local library about like catching and neutering the feral cats.
Yep.
So the woman who ran the program set up an appointment, and we were able to bring the cat in to get spayed. So she's recovering. Today is like day 2 of her recovery. So we will have a indoor-outdoor cat
There you go.
named Sara Beth going forward.
Nice. That's how it started with us too, because my mother was the same way. We never had any pets, and then my brother brought home a kitten at one time, and that was it. With us for years after that.
Yeah, so I've had 3 cats in my life. I had Patches, and then Urkel, and then Mally. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Hey, well, as long as they take care of her. That's all.
I'm actually impressed, like over the last few days here, how the girls have kind of responded and shown responsibility and doing stuff. Now I'm kind of questioning, maybe I should have gotten the pet, 20 years ago, and they would have, been a little more, responsible and empathetic and all that stuff. So
what color
you
is
live and you learn, Gary. You live and you learn.
what color is the cat?
She's black and white.
Okay.
So she kind of looks like Sylvester.
Okay.
So I can I'll post some pictures. I'm actually probably going to write a story about that for the Substack page.
So ours was kitty was black and white. White was very small. It couldn't really see a whole lot.
Yeah, her whole like underbelly is mostly white. The top of her is black, and then her face is like top is black, and then her bottom is white. So she's a cute cat. So I'm happy she went right to the litter box.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep. So I got the girls actually sent me footage of her using the litter box.
Wow.
which
That's good.
yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that's great.
Gary, this week was Juneteenth.
Yeah, it was yesterday,
Did
right?
That was yesterday. Did you have work?
So yes, but I've been out the last couple of days because I've been sick since Sunday, basically. So I don't know what I have, or it wasn't COVID. I tested negative for that, so but something beat me down like there's no tomorrow.
You're on the mend, feeling better?
Yes, I'm feeling better right now. I actually started about, I think it was after I woke up from my little nap around 3. I was feeling better. So I'm on the water today.
I threw up on Sunday.
Yeah, see something weird is going on because even at work, my big boss, she was out 2 days last week because she wasn't feeling good. The other lady that worked over in AP, she was in Monday, left early, and then didn't come in on the next day because she wasn't feeling good. So yeah, I don't know what the heck is something's afoot around.
I think it was just the creamer in my coffee because I think I left it out like a whole day last week
Oh
and
jeez.
then put it back in the refrigerator.
Oh
But I had like a bagel and cream cheese, and I ate it very fast because I was looking forward to it.
yeah.
And then I had like 3 sips of coffee, and I was just like,
Mm.
just felt nauseous.
Yeah.
And I like kind of knew like, oh, something's gonna come up here.
Mm-hmm.
So I, you know, threw a little up. Then kind of felt better. Had like a seltzer to settle my stomach. So I think it was the cream. I don't think it was anything like a bug or anything.
Yeah, no, I don't know what the heck. Something, but I mean, I didn't have any vomiting or no, I did have to go to the bathroom. But other than that, I just feel like I was worn out. Like I felt like I did when I had COVID. So that's why I'm like, oh, I better take a test and see what's going on. And but so I don't know, something, but I mean, I've got a little bit more color again today because I was a little pasty white last couple of days.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I just felt very hot all of a sudden, and I took like my shirt off because I had like worn a shirt to mass. Took it off, um, and I was just sweating. So, but yeah, it passed. I'm better.
Well, besides that too, I ran out of my other allergy pill. So besides the other thing, I was then sneezing and going through a box of tissues because my nose was constantly running. So I'm like, and so then I tacked that on too. I'm like, this just sucks. It's ridiculous. So, but I had to have her go get me some pills. So I was like, I need to. 'Cause the problem is if I take like a more than 2 days off of the other pill that I take, then it just it is. I gotta take it every day. And then what sucks is these pills you got to buy them over the counter. They only give 15 in a box, and then you have to wait 30 days. So if you're a person that takes them every day, so I'm like, we got to rotate back and forth to who buys it.
I was gonna say, can you use Colin now to buy them since he has a permit?
I
Is
don't.
he helping you to get the allergy pills?
No, I don't think so. I think he has. I don't know what. How
Or
old.
he's not? You have to be what, 18, 21?
I'm not sure when it comes to that. I never even asked. I'll have to ask about it. But the thing is, I can do like if I buy the 15 pack, I can then go and buy a 10 pack, but I can't buy another 15 until 30 days. So that's usually what I'll do. I'll buy 15 and then she'll buy 15 and then usually good. But
And what pill do you take?
it's like a Claritin D.
That's it, Claritin D.
24-hour. But I'll buy like the CVS version.
Okay.
Last time they didn't have it, so I had to get me cleared in. So.
Now, could you go to like a CVS and then go to like a Rite Aid?
No, because it's on my ID. So
Oh,
they scan your ID when you're buying it. That way it knows, so it's going off of that. That's why sometimes I forget. So like I'll buy it and I feel like I didn't buy it again. And then I'll go and they'll be like, oh, you can't get this one. They're like, well, you can get the 10. I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, I need something, so just I don't care what it is.
now do you take allergy pills year long
Yep.
down in Florida?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I double up. I'm on a prescription allergy pill as well from the doctor, but that one doesn't work on its own. I need to take the two.
So you have a prescription plus an over-the-counter allergy pill.
Yep.
Hmm.
Like I said, if I don't take it for a couple days straight, I get hammered, and then that's it. And I'm miserable all day.
Interesting. Now, Gary, I wanted to talk to you, and I'm assuming you've probably heard the news about this story about the submersible
Hmm.
vehicle that went to go inspect the site of the Titanic
Yep.
that is now missing.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a few. I haven't checked the headlines in about 6 hours.
I haven't seen anything.
Okay, but it looks like they are still looking for these people. So I think it's 5 people, correct?
I believe that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so 5 people in the submersible vehicle, and it's actually called the Titan. It's more of a tourist thing. Went down to the wreckage of the Titanic, and I think within about an hour and a half to 2 hours, it lost. I don't even know what the term would be. It lost communication or location of where this vehicle was, and now they can't find it. And I think earlier this afternoon they said they had about 40 hours left of oxygen.
Oh, jeez.
Now, of course, Gary, this made me instantly think of Dr. DeepSea,
Mm-hmm.
who you featured twice on News of the Weird.
Yes.
Do you think there's any chance Dr. DeepSea would be able to save these?
Wow.
What do you think it's like to be? What do you think those people,
I don't even.
assuming they're still alive? Because I think one of the theories is that this vehicle maybe just, disintegrated, maybe under the pressure of the ocean.
Huh.
But if they're alive, what do you think is going through their mind right now?
Well, first of all, I mean, it was. I mean, it should be built to withstand certain pressures if they made it to be able to do that. So, unless they didn't realize there was something down, like maybe there's something else down there that was deeper, and they lost power and went down into like another trench or something, then I could see them maybe being disintegrated that way. But to me, I don't think I would ever want to do any of that stuff anyway, because just thinking about being trapped underwater freaks me out right now. Just like
I'm
being in the
I'm with you because 2 of the people in the vehicle, one is a father. He's like 48 years old. The other is his son, who's 19. So it's roughly the same age as me and Joey. So I'm just imagining us, submerged under this ocean in this vehicle the size of a caravan with 3 other people, knowing like, hey, we are kind of lost here and running out of oxygen.
no power.
And it gives me anxiety
Oh,
just thinking about it.
I, yeah, I would lose my mind. I don't know. Uh, depends on how. Okay, so if they don't have any power at all, I'm surprised they even. Well, I guess oxygen does stay in after a certain period of time, but if they have like some power, but just no way of communicating, they might be able to do some sort of MacGyvering to maybe give them a little extra time or whatever. But I just yeah, just knowing that you're basically just stuck there, and you're gonna probably run out of air at some point. Oh,
And that brought up the question, Gary, would you rather go to space or go to the depths of the ocean?
neither. Both of them were like the same thing. I feel. I'm staying here,
I'm with you.
above ground, on the ground. No, yeah, sorry. I mean, the only way I'd go to space or going as if like that was it, like the top end was dying, and then there were the only two options to keep surviving. Then I'd be like, all right, well, I guess I have to suck it up. But other than that,
And that kind of brings up the point when you had brought up Dr. DeepSea last week, is like, how was he able to live? Because living in a body of water like that limits you as far as like oxygen. You still have to be dependent upon some sort of like refrigeration and electricity.
yeah. See, I think what he's connected to a place. So I mean, it was more of like I'm not gonna say a resort, but it was like something like similar to that, where I mean, he had the accommodations already set for him, and I'm sure there was things like he'd be able to get out if something went wrong. I don't think he was just submerged in like something like what they are. I think whatever he was in was connected to something above, so above the water.
Yeah, and apparently these the father and son combination, they paid $250,000 for this trip.
Oh,
So like $500,000. And that's another thing that just makes me wonder, like, if you were worth that much money, and I mean this the father is about 48 years old, so he probably has at least say 30 years hopefully to live.
yeah,
Why you would do something with such risk,
yep,
knowing you have it seems like he's pretty much set for, life as far as apparently he comes from a very wealthy family. Obviously he has a son.
take two now. You're taking your young son, something so risky. It's different if like he was 48 with his 70-year-old father or 80-year-old father or whatever wanting to do this.
Right.
But now you've taken your young son and now you basically put him at risk. It's just it's like all those crazy people that are paying all this money to fly up into space, just to not even go anywhere, just basically just to fly up into the atmosphere. Spending all that money.
Yeah.
I mean, so many things could go wrong. You may not even make it off the launch pad or only halfway up. It's just I don't get. It's like people that just it's like they don't know what else to spend their money on, so they're like, let's do something crazy. Go look at a ship that's wrecked. I mean, you could do that here off the coast of Florida and do it snorkeling. Same,
Yeah, there you go.
but I just want to see the Titanic. But and that's the thing, you just don't know. I mean, that was a ship that's been missing for years, and then they finally found it. But I don't think they still know exactly what else is around there. So I mean, who knows what else is in that area? There could be anything, like the trenches that no one knew about.
That's what they're thinking, is maybe the vehicle got caught like in maybe a part of the Titanic where it can't get out or up. They were saying, I guess there's,
Yeah,
I guess even that deep, there might be some sort of like, currents and stuff that can
rip current.
move the vehicle and stuff like that.
That could act. Yeah, could have pushed it into the Titanic, and
Right.
yeah, maybe that, like you said, maybe they're stuck in one of the parts of it.
So I mean, here's hoping they do survive and are rescued.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very
Could be a part two where, yeah, like you said, with the rip current too, it could have moved, shot them somewhere else. So maybe they're not even anywhere near the Titanic anymore, and they might be like somewhere else out to sea and just kind of like lost power or something and
yeah, we don't know.
drift somewhere else.
And apparently the machine is supposed to be able to go up to, even like if it loses power or something, something is able to like
It's supposed to
make it go up to the top.
default or something where.
So I don't know, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, when you don't mess around with nature like that, I guess. So
No sir.
that's the lesson. Gary, did you watch the U.S. Open this weekend?
I watched bits and pieces of it. I didn't watch a whole lot of it. We were out Friday, and we had a place we were at, so we were watching a little bit there. But I actually don't even know who won. I heard McElroy choked. That's the only thing
I wouldn't say he choked. Wyndham Clark was the winner.
Oh, okay. Oh, he was.
He shot a -10, I believe, was his score that won it. McIlroy shot a -9, so he was one behind.
Okay.
And actually, I think it was the lowest score in a U.S. Open. I think his like stroke score was the lowest score in a U.S. Open to not win a U.S. Open. So people are beating up Rory, but I thought you can't really fault him on this one.
Not when I was out. Who was it? I think it was Kepka. He was up there. Some guy with the chef,
Yeah, Shuffler.
whatever. He was there. He actually, I think he had just tied on Friday when I was seeing for the lead, and then I seen Rory's name up there, and I'm like, oh man, it's been a while since I've seen him up on top of a leaderboard like that a little bit, or at least for me watching. But so I missed like I said Sunday I wasn't.
Now, my biggest problem, and I actually made a comment about this kind of in the afternoon. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I moved my wire and it's like much louder in my ear, so that's good. Sometime in Sunday afternoon, I made a comment. I actually posted it on the Brian Lennon Show Facebook page that basically, not to mention the player who shall not be named, implying Mickelson.
Mm-hmm.
But I said this is a very tame U.S. Open crowd.
I heard that there's a lot of people on Twitter.
Yeah, and I noticed it because usually by Sunday, there's a crowd favorite. They're starting to get a little bit rowdier. And I thought definitely with Mickelson not being in contention, I thought people might pull for McIlroy because of the whole live versus PGA thing. But the crowd was like not into it. And come to find out later on, a lot of people were noticing this. And because that LA country club is like so exclusive, most of the tickets that were sold went to like the tent areas. So it wasn't people that were interested in actually like following the players around. And then of like the 14,000 like general admission tickets, about 9,000, I think only 9,000 were end up being available to the general public because the members, I guess, to try to keep people from coming into the club, bought all the other ones.
Yeah, because I noticed that when we had it on, like at the place we were at, and they had it on, I noticed there wasn't a whole lot of like probably. And then when I was on Twitter scrolling through, people were talking about they're like how after who was it? Was it Kepka who hit that like 72-yard or whatever putt? They said like
Yeah, there was.
no no reaction, nothing. You didn't hear any like loud cheers or anything. They're like, man, there's like nobody there. So, but that I guess that explains it.
Yeah, so that was kind of a. I mean, it wasn't really too dramatic on the back nine like on Sunday, but the fact that the crowd was not into it, even I think, made it less dramatic.
Yeah, it takes it away.
And I think too, if you have crowds rooting for McIlroy, maybe he makes a charge,
Yeah.
but it was just kind of a dull that kind of a dud that way. Apparently, in 2039, they'll be hosting the U.S. Open again at the LA Country Club. So hopefully they adjust this for future events there.
Learn from it. Yeah, because I mean, you get that's the thing with golf. Is, I mean, it's not the most uh, enthusiastic, it's not the most exciting sport, but I mean, but that's what you need that crowd reaction when there's shots like that. I mean, when you got a guy chipping in from like 150 yards, or you got a guy hitting a 72-yard putt. It's like, I mean, you need that crowd reaction. That's what makes.
Yeah, and that's what the U.S. Open's kind of been known for over the last
Yeah.
really probably 20 years, is the crowd
Yeah.
being into it, because it's the U.S. Open, it's the national championship, if you will.
It's not
And again, golf is not Game 7 of the NBA Finals or something that exciting, but the U.S. Open tends to be a little bit more of a spectator sport.
Yes, exactly. And it's every day that it's going on. It's not just that Sunday or whatever. I mean, he didn't hit that 72-yarder on Sunday. I think that was what, Friday or Thursday or Friday. I think he did that or something like that. But whatever. But I mean, just saying, like, you need that. You need that crowd just to get into it. That's what that makes it. And then it's all. I mean, I think for me too personally, it helps the golfer too, because I mean, you hit a shot like that and you got all these people screaming. Then it's like now you're like, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to the next hole now. I'm gonna tear this
Right.
up. So, but I mean, when you got nobody, you and your caddy are the only ones cheering. I mean, it's not really doing much for you. So, just like it's like any other sport when you have that crowd behind you and you're going. I mean, that's gets your blood going and you're ready to go. So,
Yeah, well, the LA crowd lived up to their reputation this weekend.
yeah,
Gary, you have news of the weird for us?
I do. Let's rock.
And now it's time for news of the weird with your host, Gary McDaniel. All right, so we go to the Tampa newsroom where we're joined by Gary McDaniel. Gary, what's news?
Yes, sir.
Subscribe now.
All right. So, I got this one sent to me. Penn State professor accused of with an animal in PA State Forest. A longtime Penn State professor was charged Tuesday after an investigation into trail camera footage showing a man performing sexual acts with a dog in Rothrock State Forest. Themis Matsoukas, 64, of State College, was caught on camera April 13th having sexual acts with his dog near the restrooms of Rothrock State Forest, according to a criminal complaint filed by the State Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Matsoukas was identified by park rangers by his North Face backpack, which was visible in the camera footage from the April 13th incident. The backpack was also present in images depicting Matsoukas nude from the waist down, except for socks and shoes, in images from trail cameras dating as far back as 2014. The professor of chemical engineering, who earned his PhD from Michigan, has been with Penn State since 1991. During that time, he's written several books, published dozens of journal articles, and won at least 3 teaching awards.
Hmm.
Themis Matsoukas has been relieved of his responsibilities and is on leave. Rangers served a search warrant at Matsoukas at his home in State College on June 9th. According to complaint, Matsoukas was visibly nervous and repeatedly told the Rangers, "I'm done. I'm dead. You don't understand. I do it to blow off steam." During the execution of the search warrant, Rangers found all items listed in the warrant, including the backpack and a ski mask that was visible in the April 13th camera footage. His attorney, Matthew McClanahan, said Wednesday it would be inappropriate to make any comment at this time. Matsoukas was charged with
There's a
misdemeanor
lot that's inappropriate about
Yeah.
this.
charges of open lewdness, incident exposure, and sexual intercourse with an animal, and summary charges of cruelty of animals and disorderly conduct. Oh my goodness gracious! Now I was not in the engineering department, but I know of someone who did take engineering classes a little bit. So I don't know if he had classes with him or not, but I guess we'll find out in a couple days.
It doesn't say what campus this professor is at. I'm assuming it's the main
I'm thinking
main
that
campus.
they were saying he lives in State College, so I'm assuming that it was that is.
Yeah. And I've heard about, giving your dog a bone, but this is a
Yeah.
little bit,
I'm like I don't even know where that park is. I'm gonna have to look that up now because Rock
you might want to stay out of there, Gary.
Rock State Forest. Yeah, I don't go down
Where
there.
is Rothrock?
I have no idea.
Are you going to do a quick Google search?
Sure, why not? Let's see. Rock Forest.
I wonder, where you have to go, where you have to be to kind of stoop to that. Well, let's call it what it is, bestiality, right?
Yeah, and not even and then he's I do it to blow off steam. I'm like, seriously? Oh, and he's an older looking guy too.
Well, he's been a professor there since 91.
Yeah, 91, but I mean,
So he's been there like 40 years, 30 years.
I still don't completely know. Oh, okay. So it's Rothrock State is located in Center, Huntington,
Center.
Mifflin counties. So it's
He's probably at main campus.
so he'd be definitely on campus, and then I mean it must be right around in that general area.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of forest and crap right around there too. So who knows where?
I'll
pretty big.
I'll tell you what. There's Gary. You and I both went to the main campus.
Yep.
I think the main campus is a dark place. No, honestly, I think there's a lot of evil around that campus. I mean, there's the whole Sandusky thing. There's the boy Tim Piazza who died at a frat house. There was a story I think last year on ESPN about one of the football players from like the late 70s, early 80s, who was a like serial rapist. He assaulted a number of women on campus. I read another story earlier this year. They had found he actually lived in Michigan, but he was responsible for a sexual assault, maybe 2 of them, at Penn State back in the late 90s. So
Interesting. I mean, yeah, it's an old campus that could be some sort of evil spirits that are.
There's, people say, whether you believe in the devil or not, right? I believe in the devil. And I believe the devil is alive and well in Penn State's main campus area. I do. I believe that.
Subscribe now.
Don't subscribe to the devil. Subscribe to the Brian Lennon Show. Now, do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'm being crazy? Think I'm being a lunatic?
No, listen. There's so many. I mean, yes, there's been a lot of weird crap that happened there. I mean, I've never really seen it when I was there, but I mean, yeah, it's older campus, so there's the old. I mean, you think about all these towns. I mean, you go down to Keys, you go to Savannah, you go New Orleans. They have all these ghost tours and all this weird crap that's all happens. So, I mean, I'm surprised there's not a lot more. I mean, there might be even things out there that we don't even know about that's happened in State College.
I'm sure you're right. I'm sure there are probably other stories that would make us blush like this story with the professor and his puppy.
Uh-huh.
All right, moving on. What? Maybe there's something lighter in the news, Gary.
Sure. So, sticking with the theme of no pants, no ifs, ands, or buts. Protesters drop pants to protest climate change at Massachusetts State House. Climate change protesters dropped their pants at the Massachusetts State House during a debate on a proposed tax relief package Thursday to bring attention to what they say is the need for swifter action against the use of fossil fuels. About 1 p.m., protesters turned their backs to the state chamber and lowered their pants to reveal letters that spelled out "Stop Passing Gas" on their bare backsides. The protesters were all wearing pink thongs. The 8 protesters were chanting and disrupting the Senate session, according to state police investigators. Just before 2 p.m., the protesters were told that the public gallery was closed. After being warned that they were subject to arrest, protesters refused to leave and were placed under arrest and escorted out of the chamber, investigators said. They were charged with trespassing on state property, disorderly conduct, and indecent exposure. The group Extinction Rebellion has staged other protests at the State House. They say they plan on continuing their efforts until lawmakers approve legislation banning new fossil fuel infrastructure. After being warned that they were subject to arrest, the protesters refused to leave and were placed under arrest. That's the same line. I don't know why they put that in there again, but the protesters were chanting. Oh my God, it's like the same stuff. So whatever. Former Governor Charles Baker last year signed a major climate bill meant to bring the state closer to its goal of not net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. The new law encourages development of offshore wind and solar energy and gives some local authorities to limiting the use of fossil fuels in building projects.
Well, I think the lawmakers, maybe instead of having these protesters arrested, could have just turned the other cheek.
Oh, wrong button. Exactly.
Gary, have you ever been part of a protest?
No, I have not. I've not seen them. Really?
Yeah, I don't think I've really protested anything.
No, there's not. I mean,
Like not like in a public demonstration.
no, I don't think I've ever nothing. I don't think I've ever protested anything. Even like I haven't boycotted anything. I don't know. I don't. I'm like none of that stuff bothers me. I'm like whatever. I don't really care. I don't know. I don't have the time to waste to do any of that stuff. So I don't really.
You don't have that time.
I don't have time. I'm not standing out there with a sign or any of that garbage. So, or boycotting something for no apparent reason.
All right.
That's it. That's news of the Weird. Whoop,
Subscribe now.
there you go.
All right. Well, thank you for that. A few things before we head out today. Gary, I was driving home from Wallenpaupack tonight
Mhm.
because Jill took the kids camping. And on the way back, I noticed certain parts of the highway and certain truck stops had like these highway, they were almost like black lights. They were like purple.
Yeah, okay.
Have you seen these? Are
So,
these new? Or is it, what's
yeah,
the point of this?
so we have them down here. We've had like they've been popping up like all this, and I'm like, what is going on? Are these like new lights that they're putting in? Well, come to find out, whoever, I guess the manufacturer company or whatever that made the bulbs for like the street lights or something like that, changed something, and they uh, basically almost look like black lights now. They were like a mistake. They weren't supposed to be sold or something like that. So I don't know if it's the same up where you guys are, but for us, that's what it is. They were a goof up. They weren't
Okay.
so they were like bad bulbs or something like that, and they weren't supposed to be.
Because I've never seen it before, ever.
Yeah.
But this like one stretch of 81, or it probably was 84. And this one like truck stop had all these like, it was like a purple
Yeah.
glow, like a dark, like a black light.
Right here off of 19, um, we have sections of it. So there's like maybe like four purple lights, and then there's a couple, and then there might be five more up the next one, and then there's a, so like it wasn't like a certain. So I thought it was something new that they were putting in, and but yeah, from what I've heard around or whatever, that yeah, it was something that was screwed up and
That's what I thought too. Like maybe it was like a different light that made it easier for the truckers to like fall asleep or something.
lot lizards.
So I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, maybe it is something different up there, but like from what I've heard down here was yeah, they were a bad batch of lights or something like that. They weren't supposed to be used, but oh well. I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of cool sometimes when I see them.
It looked neat.
Yeah, there's like that's why I thought it was something new they were doing, but I don't know.
Gary, have you been to the movies yet this month?
I have.
What did you go see?
Last Thursday went to see The Flash.
Oh, you did.
I did.
Without giving away any spoilers,
Mhm.
what was your impression of the movie?
Uh, I thought it was. I mean, I thought it was good. I
So
mean,
that's not a thumb. That's not two thumbs up,
some
Gary.
people are bashing it. I thought there was a couple things they could have done a little bit better, but I mean, other than that, I mean, it was cool. I mean, like the effects were pretty cool, and then like I said, like the random cameos that they had,
Okay.
they would be a little bit.
Are you going to see Indiana Jones in the theater?
I would like to.
Okay. And what about Mission Impossible?
That'll probably just wait for it to pop up on my cable.
Okay. See, I think Jill bought tickets for all of us to go to see Indiana Jones, and I have no desire to go see it.
No,
I'm not an Indiana Jones guy.
oh, see, I liked Indiana Jones. I'm hoping it's better than the last one that they put out, because that one was garbage. But
That one was. That's why I'm like,
so, I mean, from the previews, it kind of, I mean, it looks like the old school, like first and third.
no, Spielberg directing that and all, like the old ones.
I don't know who's. Let's see.
Because I haven't seen anything with Spielberg yet. It's just been about
Yeah, I haven't.
Harrison Ford.
Diary, glasses off.
Now, the movie I'm looking forward to is Mission Impossible.
Okay.
Joey and I have been out. We've gone to the theater for, I think, the last two of those. And those are ones I think you have to go to the theater to really enjoy.
James Mangold directed.
So it's not Spielberg.
No.
I don't think Spielberg directed the other one either. That third one.
Is an executive producer, along with
That's nothing.
Lucas.
That's just put my name on it.
Yeah, because I did the other ones. Now, you know what? The Mission Impossible, the trailer looked pretty. I mean, it looked like any other Mission Impossible movie, but it's not one I'll pay to go see.
Huh?
I'll wait for that one to come up on the cable. Yeah.
All right. And one quick presidential note here, and then we'll get out. Robert Kennedy Jr. was on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast this past week. Now he's the Democrat running in the primary, or hoping to, against Joe Biden. Did you happen to listen to that, Gary?
I did not.
Informed voter that you are.
Nope, I did not listen to it.
No. It was 3 hours long. He talked a lot about vaccines, kind of how he got into one of the talking points about Robert Kennedy Jr. is that he's anti-vax. So he kind of went into explaining his stance on vaccines and how he came about all that.
Yeah.
He also talked about like the drug treatments for HIV and AIDS, especially back in the early days in the 80s. Some things I didn't, know. Also talks about his thoughts on the military-industrial complex, with especially in light of like Ukraine and Russia and that whole conflict, that war. And one of the things he was talking about with the vaccines, Gary, was he was talking about mercury being in the vaccines, and other things too, how mercury gets into the atmosphere and the water and all that. Okay. Monday night I was at bingo, and two of the older guys, they're in their 70s, probably mid 70s. They were talking about when they were in school, they would play with mercury.
Yeah, that's not too safe, but
no, I'm like,
oh yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it. All the old school thermometers we used to have when we were kids.
Yeah,
they all ran off of mercury.
Because I remember they used to tell you, like, don't break be careful with the thermometer.
Don't want the mercury to come pouring out. I don't know, but no, I did not get to listen to that.
All right. All right.
Subscribe now.
Anything else, Gary?
No. Probably gonna do nothing again this coming weekend.
How was your Father's Day weekend? Doing nothing? Good?
Well, I mean,
except being sick?
Being sick, yeah. Other than that, I mean, Friday we ran up to Wrap for a little bit because the one food truck was there. So, and Saturday we didn't. Well, I think Saturday we got in the pool. And that was it. And then Sunday I laid on the couch the majority of the day. I mean, it worked out.
Good. So nothing big planned this weekend?
No, nothing that I can think of. I think we're just gonna hang out around the house again.
All right. All right. Well, enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Brian Lennon Show. I'm Brian Lennon, as always, joined by co-host and producer extraordinaire Gary McDaniel. Have a great week.
Subscribe now.